Hello, it's Electric Brian here. So I got a pretty deep scratch in the front hood of my about 6-month-old Tesla Model 3. And I contacted a body shop to see how much it would be to fix. One body shop never got back to me. Another body shop, which is the Tesla approved one, quoted me, well, he said he could do it one of two ways. Either just slap some paint on it, and I don't think that would come out good at all, or to do the complete job to make it look factory new. He gave me a quote of $2,800. That was way too much for me. So I had found a video online, and I'll put it over here if you want to go to the source. It's Chris Fix Deep Scratch Repair. He's probably a well-experienced body repair person, whereas I have never done body repair at all. So I'm going to try it using his video as a reference to see how just a normal person who's never done any body work can repair this. So I'll show you the scratch here. So here are the scratches. It's only about maybe a 1/2 inch and 1 inch and a little bit long, but they're pretty deep. I think it goes right in there on both of them. I have no idea how it happened. My only guess is that maybe when someone was putting a stroller in a car who was parked in front of us, perhaps dropped it. And unfortunately, I didn't have Sentry mode on. So I should have had Sentry mode on, apparently. Lesson learned. Whenever I'm out shopping for the day, I was in a bunch of different parking lots, going from one store to another, so I don't know where it happened and didn't get any of it on camera. But instead of that $2,800 repair, I bought the products that the Chris Fix video said to buy, said that he used. Came to about $20 for the sandpaper and rubbing alcohol. A lot of people will probably have some of that on hand already even. And then the biggest expense was I bought the Tesla paint repair kit, figuring getting the factory paint is the best idea, and I might be able to use that for various paint chip issues in the future too. But that was $60. I have seen like Jawa has a $30 paint stick that maybe would have been good to save the 30 bucks. But I'll show you the Tesla kit now. So I had a microfiber cloth already, as most people probably do from something. The rubbing alcohol, I got 91%. The Chris Fix video did have many different grits of sandpaper. I went with what I could find. So I have 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000 grit. He had mentioned using 400, 800, and 5,000. I couldn't find those, so I'm just going to see what happens with this. So the Tesla paint repair kit comes in this sleeve. And here's the kit. It has a cloth that it came with. Pretty high quality. This kit, believe it or not, does smell like paint when you open it. So the paint, you get a 1/2 ounce of the paint. Doesn't say what kind of paint, but I did order the correct Midnight Silver Metallic. And then there's a blending solution that you put on after you're all done with your layers of paint to remove any of the excess paint. And for like paint chips, they give you this kind of squeegee. It's hard plastic, where if you have just a little chip, you could apply the paint and just rub it over it to smooth it out. But mine is a deep scratch. And I'm going to start with cleaning the area with a little rubbing alcohol and a microfiber cloth. Don't want any dirt in there. Nice and clean now. And now Chris Fix said to use 800 grit sandpaper to smooth out the edge so you don't have jagged edges. You kind of want a nice even valley where your finger doesn't catch it all. My finger sure is catching now. And you don't want to just fold the sandpaper in half, because then it's way too sharp of an edge. You actually want to fold it over in half and then in half again, and that gives a nice rounded edge of the sandpaper. I'm just going to get in here carefully to not go too far. So I don't want to go too far outside the scratch, and then just smooth it out a little bit. So these are pretty deep scratches, so it is, my finger's still catching. I don't want to go too far with the sandpaper. Definitely does feel better now. So it will look worse before it looks better. So I'm just trying to make a nice smooth valley for the paint to sit in. So it'll blend in with the original paint nicely. So I'm gonna grab my microfiber cloth, get some more rubbing alcohol. clean up all the paint that I just scraped up. It doesn't look too bad. So it's definitely better than it was as far as the valley, but I'm not comfortable with really going down with the sandpaper, so I'm just going to call that good enough. I'm going to have to paint over all of that now. And one item I forgot to list is painter's tape. So I'm going to be putting the painter's tape along the scratch about 1 or 2 millimeters from the scratch, because you don't want the paint to spread beyond that. So it's going to be tough to tape in the middle here, but I'll surround it with painter's tape now. So now I have the paint open. It does stink. And there was a brush and another little applicator brush that came with it, and gloves, which apparently I should have used because I got some on me. So anyway, after shaking well, you can dip the brush in the paint, and you don't want too much paint on the brush, so you just dab off the excess, and then just apply your first thin layer of paint to the scratch. You're going to want some more at the top than at the bottom, because it's going to, gravity will slide it down. So the first coat of paint is on. I'm going to do several coats because it's a deep scratch. So I'm going to wait about 10 to 15 minutes between coats, and at the end, so as you're doing the coats, you might see that it gets a little rough. You don't have to worry about touching that up, because though there's a blending solution that you'll use to even it out at the end. But the first coat is done. Now I'll wait and come back for the second coat. All right, it's time for the second coat. I just stuck the brush back in this sleeve. Other kits have the brush built into the cap, so it always stays, doesn't dry up, but hopefully this doesn't. Anyway, dipping it in, dabbing off the excess. All right, easy as that. I'll be back for the third coat. Back for coat number 3. All right, it's definitely getting good coverage. Definitely tell that it's still all right. It's definitely getting good coverage. You could tell that it's still indented some. Color's looking good. Definitely going to do probably 2 more coats. You want the paint to come up, like kind of like a hump out of the scratch, since it'll be knocked down after. You don't want it to be down into the scratch. So a few more coats. And I did a couple more coats. I didn't bother filming because that gets pretty repetitive. But I think I'm going to make this my last coat because it's looking pretty good. especially this one. So I'll let that dry. Now the Chris Fix video did say to use really high grit sandpaper to get rid of the excess paint. I'm gonna try just using what the Tesla kit says to do and use the blending solution. Once this coat dries, and blend it in that way. Hopefully that'll work. If not, then I'll try the sandpaper. But the kit that Chris Fix was using had a clear coat, and Tesla kit doesn't. So the Tesla kit, the instructions, doesn't really have any instructions for a deep scratch like this, but I know other people have used it for deep scratches. Which is more for little paint chips. Maybe a small pebble will hit your car while you're driving. So, using light pressure with an open flat hand, rub around the dried paint smeared area with the cloth to blend away excess paint that is around the chip. Don't scrub. Let the chemical do the work. Reapply as necessary. Do not blend over the chip area. Will remove the desired repair. So I'll have to see what works best. So I removed the tape. When you remove the tape, you want to pull the tape off at a 45-degree angle from the paint so that there's a nice crease of the tape. I guess I should have showed that to you, but the other video does show it. So right now it clearly stands out as a bad repair job, basically. But that's before I've blended it in or sanded it down. So it should look a lot better after I blend it in. I'll let that dry for about 15 minutes. So it's looking nice and dry. I have the blending solution that I'm going to apply to this cloth. So I dabbed some solution on, got it nice and moist. And now I'm just going to gently rub over the area. And see, it's taking off a little bit of the paint. Maybe I need a little bit more of the solution. So I'm trying not to rub, like I said in the instructions. Let the solution do the work, it says, so just gentle. Definitely feel it raised still. So I'm just going to work this some more, use different parts of the cloth, see how good I could do. Well, I blended it as much as I could. It's still very obvious there. Now it says to just dry it off with a microfiber cloth. I use the provided one. And well, although it isn't a great looking repair, it's at least weatherproof now. It won't rust in the rain. But I'm definitely gonna have to see if I could do it better. But for now, that's how it'll be.